Sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 275 of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. And I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. My guest for this episode was none other than Lori Hardwick, strategic advisor for GenStar Capital. Normally I go into a bio of the guest in this part, but we did the bio in the episode. So you're going to hear all about Lori's bio then. But we spoke about an interesting trend of broker-dealers launching independent RIA offerings. We talked about what the largest broker-dealers are doing, affiliation models they're offering, and the underlying technology powering these platforms. I think you're really going to like our discussion here and Lori's take on this trend. But speaking of RIA tech stacks and the technology that they need, here at Ezra Group, we've seen literally hundreds of RIA and broker-dealer tech stacks. And let me tell you, most of them are loaded down with tech debt. Now, let's face it, tech debt can act like an anchor holding down your RIA's efficiency and ability to scale. If you want to free your firm for exponential growth, you need to run, not walk to our website, ezragroup.com, and click the golden Contact Us button on the homepage. The experienced team at Ezra Group can evaluate your current tech ecosystem, deliver targeted recommendations, optimize your existing systems and operations, or even run an RFP and help you implement new software to take your firm to the next level. Ezra Group just makes RIA tech stacks better. You can take advantage of our free initial consultation by going to ezragroup.com. And now my standard housekeeping chores. Please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And check out our sponsor, the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation at investinothers.org. And now, let's kick this thing off. All right, I'm excited to introduce my next guest. It is Lori Hardwick, industry icon. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Craig. Excited to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And where are you calling in from?
I am in Philadelphia today. It's the least exciting of the places we have.
You're right around the corner. We should do this in person next time. I'm in Central Jersey.
Oh yeah, I could have.
So you're enjoying the crisp weather in the 20s.
Yeah, it was so much colder today than yesterday. I went out to walk my dog and I had to come back in to get a hat. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's freezing out here.
Yeah, we dog walking people, dog parents have a different issue with the cold because it's.
I know.
People can stay inside all the time. We got to get out 3-4 times a day.
Yeah, you and I have, I think, shared many a photo of our dogs in little cute sweaters.
Yep. Yes. Well, why have a dog if you can't dress them up?
I know, exactly. That's what I say. But my husband really does not agree with me at all.
I was just shopping for a new
I have
dog
to
coat.
sneak into it.
Don't do that. All right. We can talk dogs and
Okay.
Philadelphia all day. Let's talk business here. So you haven't been on the program in a while. We were just talking. You haven't been on since February 2021. We were talking about the Cetera Voya deal.
I know. So much has happened since then.
Yeah,
it's going to be like a
years.
3-hour show to get everyone caught up. No, I'm kidding.
We can do that. Hey, we have no limitations here.
Yes, we do. Yes,
we've got stuff to talk about. We're going to keep talking. Well, what I wanted to talk about today, of course, I just did the intro about all the boards you're on, strategic advisor, GenStar Capital. So you have a unique, I think, position, seeing the market, seeing trends. So I want to talk about a specific trend for 2025 that we both agree is happening and important. It's broker dealers launching independent RIA-only hybrid channel strategic offerings.
Yes.
So you've seen it with Cetera that you're on the board of. We've seen it with Osaic. Osaic in 2023, Osaic grew their recruiting into the RIA channel by 180% versus the prior year. I don't have the numbers from 2024. I'm sure it was equally as well. And Cetera is buying up RIAs like the retirement planning group to be the cornerstone of their RIA offering. So
That's
What
right.
is it with this? What are we seeing? Should other firms follow suit or stay put? Ready, go, Lori Hardwick.
Well, this is, how it's interesting when you see things start to emerge in our industry. Sometimes it's just a fad, and sometimes it's a real trend that you have to take a second look at. This one I really believe is a trend that is here to stay. I think part of the reason is because RIAs are the hot dot. That is where everyone's sees where the puck is going. So rather than just closing up shop and saying, well, I guess we're not in it, they become part of the movement. And certainly at Cetera, we've been literally for 3 years now building out a whole separate platform and offering that operates very independent of the broker dealer side, to be able to be part of the movement, of the trend. And I think initially a lot of people expected this to just be a retention strategy where your largest RIA or largest advisors on the broker dealer side say, hey, I'm big enough now and I want to jump out and do my own thing. And certainly there was a fair amount of that going on, but now this other platform doesn't just allow for you to retain those advisors and those assets, but also allows you to recruit new RIAs into the four of, in my case, Cetera, and or for Ed Swenson's case, Osaic and Blue Spring and all of the others out there that are starting to emerge. So it really is interesting trend that we're seeing.
Now, these broker dealers always have been looking for independent RIAs to come on board, but in a different affiliation. So now they're launching these fee-only affiliation models that allows advisors to drop their FINRA licenses and operate off the broker dealer's chassis, their RIA chassis. So they get all the benefits of the scale, but in our SEC only, fee only capacity. Do you see that as a major benefit?
Yeah, clearly it's a benefit. Where it is a little different, and this sometimes doesn't come out in the press. And so kind of behind the scenes, what's happening is it's not necessarily on the same technology that is currently serving the broker dealers. So for example, at Cetera, we're a very large client of Envestnet, my old firm. And that's where all of our broker dealer bank institutional type business runs through on platform. And but for the RIA side, we've been building out a whole platform through Orion that has been launched. And Orion, of course, I'm on that board as well. And we're, what's special about that, and you'll see that too within other firms like, Osaic, Commonwealth, they're all selecting other platforms to serve this RIA market. So instead of just saying, hey, stay with us and run your business as you would through the same platforms we have, they're actually making it altogether different to really serve the RIA market. And as you know, Orion, 99% of their clients came out of that RIA world. And so they think like the RIA, they're RIA minded, people that serve that now broker dealer community. So you're really seeing that blurred line between what used to only be the lane of RIA and only the lane of broker dealer or insurance. Even Northwestern Mutual has an RIA now, and so does Thrivent. So it's just all over the place. And some are more successful than others, but I think for the most part, it's a strategy that is kind of taking the industry by storm.
It certainly is. I mean, there's a few themes around wealth management. One is that the market is still very fragmented, right? There's 16,000 RIAs. I think more than half have less than $100 million in assets. So there's more. I think there's 1,000 new ones starting every year, but only 300 acquisitions. So
Mhm.
The market's still growing in terms of targets, which is good because there's so much more money coming in that are looking for something to buy. So do you see that as driving this as well? And how will this affect the existing RIA aggregators like the Mercers, Focuses, Carson Groups, and such?
Well, certainly adding more competition out there for those acquirers. And as you mentioned, I'm on the board of Cerity Partners, so I'm part of that world as well. They're acquiring RIAs, usually typically, 500 million, a billion plus, really on the larger side of the scale and serving high net worth or ultra high net worth clients. But, there's been a lot of the oldies and goodies, I'll call them, the dynasties, High Towers, Focus, Financial, they, came to the industry early on, and now they have a lot more competition than they once did. I do think that initially there was a little bit of a scoff when it came to the broker dealers are going to get into this business, from those types of firms. I think they felt like, who cares? But with the amount of capital behind them, like a Genstar Capital and Cetera, certainly, they are able to fuel those acquisitions in a way that makes a lot of sense for the firm that is getting acquired. And as long as they are, good with the tech stack, I think ultimately, anyone selecting a partner to get acquired by needs to obviously do a lot of due diligence. And one of those things is, what's the tech stack you're going to be utilizing? What's the products that I have access to? What's the culture at the firm? That's a really big one. That's why Cerity Partners wins so many that they do. But I think that ultimately it is about, is it the platform that I can grow with? And that recruiting engine that allows for RIAs to really think about not just where am I today, can it house what I have today, and will this be an easy transition, but where is it going 5 years and 10 years from now? So at Cetera, we've created a succession program as part of that RIA program where we can either buy a minority share of the business or all of the business. And to be honest, Craig, still within these very large institutional structures, it's still so clear that the advisors that are on a fee only basis or fee mostly basis are their valuations of their companies are just much richer than those that are not. And so our efforts at Cetera are still to continue to get more fee business growing and adopted throughout the whole, all 13,000 advisors if we can.
How do you see this trend impacting the larger players like an LPL, which is the largest broker dealer, and they just hit 1.6 trillion in assets at the end of the third quarter, and they've got a number of different affiliation models.
Yeah.
Do you see that as that they're losing some growth, or that's slow as these other firms take business from them, or is it all boats will just rise?
I think it's more the latter. LPL has certainly built a wonderful business, very strong in so many areas. And they were one of the first to the market, honestly, as an independent, kind of coined independent or regional broker dealer that was serving the RIA market. And they started out by serving it up through their clearing and custody and saying, look, you can just clear your business here. And they had some success there. And now I think they're getting a little more aggressive in this market, as are, like we've talked about, all these other firms. So I think it's a good time in the market to be an advisor and figure out kind of where you'd like to place your bets for your next generation of growth. And you've got a lot of choices now. Like I said, it used to be a handful of choices, and now it's a plethora of options that will allow for an advisor to be in the catbird seat to really get probably the best valuations that we've seen in years.
It's a great time to be an advisor, especially if you have $1 billion book. or $500 million and up book.
Yeah.
Right?
It's always been a great advisor. It's always been a good time for an advisor to be in that world. I mean, it's a lucrative business. That's why you see so much private equity money come into it, because it's a business that makes sense. It continues to grow. We've been in relatively bull markets, so your base keeps growing. One thing we have been, seeing a lag in, and we won't get too far down the rabbit hole on this, but is organic growth has been slow, typically across the board, for our industry. So it lends itself to, again, growing inorganically. And that's why you see all of this clamoring to kind of buy the next great advisory firm.
Shifting gears just a second, back to your comment about Orion. So we have seen a number of firms who are Envestnet clients for their core or either Envestnet or others, choose Orion as their independent platform tech stack. Now, obviously, you're slightly biased.
Well, yeah,
on the board of
I
Orion.
am.
But if you could go back to your Envestnet days when you were competing with Orion, what does that say? Is that something you're seeing more and more firms choosing Orion? Is it just a coincidence that Cetera and Osaic and a couple others have chosen Orion? Or do you see them saying, well, we have to have something different? The technology even has to be different than our core.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question, because when you look at Envestnet, they have Tamarack under their wing. And so that would be more of the equivalent kind of one-to-one on the Orion side. But instead, firms are selecting Orion. And, I believe there's a lot of elements to that. One is we've been after it. We're after that business. We're trying hard to make the point that we'd be a great partner, and we have proven ourselves to be great partners for those firms. And then I think also, certainly our acquisitions of Redtail did not hurt us in any way, because there's a lot of deep integrations there for those types of advisors that use Redtail and want to utilize all the trading and tech platform solutions that we have at Orion. And then, beyond that, we have hidden levers. We have a financial planning solution embedded in there, but we also are highly integrated. And so what allows, not to say Envestnet isn't, I know they are, but we have played that card to allow for a very seamless conversion into our Orion platform to allow for these advisors to have a great experience. The one thing I will say with all of these firms, it's a little with these broker-dealer firms that are edging into this RIA offering, is it has to go well. Because it's a kind of the Wild West pioneering at this point on how this is going to go. And I think they have to go with a firm they have high confidence and trust in. And Orion has been not just successful on the front of doing that with existing clients, which, as you know, goes a long way. The whole reputational, just everyone talks and they're like, oh, if it went well for you, then it'll likely go well for us, or maybe chances are better it'll go well for us. But I think, as people are looking to place their bets, again, they know Orion. They certainly feel comfortable making that their nest.
Indeed. I kind of teed that up for you.
Thanks. I liked it. I slam dunked it. I felt like.
Slam dunked it, yeah.
I know. That was good. Yeah, we take it on the road. I like it.
Yep. And on the Ezra Group Wealth Tech Integration Score, Orion is above Tamarack in terms of their overall integration capabilities. So that could have something to do with it. But there is a lot of choices in the market, especially for portfolio management software. So I would expect more of these firms either to build their own or use one of the other tools out there, just because they need to have something that's really RIA focused.
Yes.
And that provides some sort of value added, because they're competing against every other platform that's already out there.
That's right.
Start their own, right?
Absolutely. And, I mean, again, this is a little tangential, but there are not that many firms out there trying to create their own platforms anymore. I think I remember being at Envestnet in the early days, and they, we would go through long cycles of sales, trying to get certain firms to agree to work with us. And, they'd be like, yeah, we've decided to build our own. And I'm like, okay. And then we would hang up and I'd be like, I'll see you in 6 months. Because it is not that easy to build and maintain these platforms. So I think most firms today are outsourcing in some way, shape, or form to one of the big providers of platform offerings.
Although from what I'm seeing, there are more. I think that might have come around full circle. Where I think you're absolutely right. Maybe the last 10 years, 15 years, but with software becoming cheaper, easier to build, a lot of tools out there, platforms, a lot of software as a service, where you can get a lot of these feature functionality through APIs and build and roll your own. So you're just building your own front end, and then you're pulling portfolio accounting from this place and rebalancing from over here, onboarding from over here. So you can kind of build your own, but make it appear to be one solution. I had an international firm on the program a couple weeks ago. They're based in Dubai, and they built all their own tech, CRM, portfolio management, because they have international clients with multi-custodial, multi-currency, multilingual, multi-language, and they didn't see anything out there, and they built their own from scratch, which I thought would be crazy. Wow. But they've gotten to a couple billion with that platform, so maybe that's something that's going to change.
Yeah, maybe. I will say that building and maintaining are two very different things. I've seen firms build and expect it to just be done, and you unveil it and hope for the best that it's gonna thrive. That there's a lot of money, time, energy, effort that is required to keep a platform maintained and modernized and continuing to kind of be running at the accelerated levels that you expect it to. And it's really important because it's trading. So if your trading systems break down for whatever reason, you could end up holding the bag on a huge amount of making good type efforts to keep your clients. So I mean, it's a tough one for firms that it isn't their core business to try to create a platform like Orion has.
Yeah, that's one of my old rules of thumb when they say we want to build this because we have these, so it's easy. I've got developers. My brother-in-law is a programmer. We can build this, and I always tell them, look, from experience, the cost of the platform over the next 10 years, only 10% of it is the initial build out. Right. 90% is support.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Bug fixes, new feature functionality, integrations. That's where your costs are going to come from. And you're not factoring those in. You're looking at how I can build this XYZ software for this price now because you've got I got a cloud platform, I've got these tools, these frameworks, I can download this, but that's not really where the costs come from over time.
That's right. It's exactly right, Craig. And the other thing that I see is that firms, large and small, say, I don't want to have to get a price hike every time I go to redo the contract, or there's an embedded, 3% year after year. I don't want that. But the fact is, if you have people on the back end that that are required to support it, it's more likely you will end up, as you give them cost of living increases, benefits, turnover, and retraining, it ends up being much more expensive. So it is kind of in the DNA sometimes of, I think, the CTOs of the world to say, let's just build it. We can do this and save ourselves the hassle of having a third party and getting these increases, but it comes back to bite them a lot of times.
It's like the old adage, if you go to a surgeon, you have a problem, that person's going to want to cut you open. That's what they do. They do surgery. If you go to a CTO, how do we solve this problem? Let's build it, because I build things, right?
That's exactly right. That's what they say. Yeah, your job as consultant is to cut it open, right?
Well, my job is sometimes they call me
Analyze it.
they call me Dr. No, because a lot of times I'm telling them, no, you don't need, they bring us in, hey, we don't like this platform, whatever it happens to be. No one likes the platform they have. Very
Yeah.
few companies like it. Because once you get it in-house, you see all the warts, what things the sales guys were hiding from, and maybe you didn't do the right research, you didn't hire Ezra Group to help you make your decision. But most likely, the platform you have is good enough. You're just not using it well. You don't understand it. You didn't train people. You didn't roll it out right. It's not integrated well. You're not using all the functionality. So about half the time, firms bring us in to replace a platform, either portfolio management, CRM, billing, reporting. What they have is fine, right? We
Yeah.
make more money as a consultant to rip it out and bring something new in. But I don't want, you're going to be disappointed if we do that and you go, this is about the same as we had before.
Right. I
How
know.
did you tell us to go with this? Well, you wanted to change, but you're the consultant. You should have told me not to. I'm like, I learned that a long time ago, 20 plus years ago. So half the time we probably tell them, look, don't change. We can help you use
Yeah.
this better.
Yeah, I think that's there's so much merit in that. I've spent most of my career and supporting some level of platform solutions, and so few clients utilize the full
Mhm.
power of the platform and end up going to buy something else, and it's a huge waste of money. So it's great.
Let's roll back to the RIA model at broker dealers. We digressed. We went off topic. So I read an article by Ed Swenson, who's the head of Mosaic's RIA platform, that he sees something called Boomerang advisors, where they advisors who left the broker dealer or wirehouse, started their RIA, launched their own ADV, and said, "Man, this is too much work. It's a lot of costs. The regulatory environment is getting more complex. The tech environment is getting more complex. Cybersecurity issues are killing me. I want to go back to the corporate RIA." Do you see that as something, and how is that going to change the way these firms are growing?
Oh yeah, we definitely see that at Cetera as well. And I think it comes down to grass is always greener somewhere else. But I do also think when there's an element of who moved my cheese. It used to, I called so and so and this just happened. There is a fair amount of regulatory scaries out there, I'll call it. Um, and it's hard when you think about an RIA or any advisor out there trying to, they're doing everything. And most of the successful ones are successful because they have put their client first, put their client's experience first, and have figured out ways to make it easy on their client. So all of a sudden, when you're running the business and choosing the technology and figuring out how to call the custodian because you have a NIGO or whatever, it just clogs up the whole system. You can't work as efficiently, and your clients end up feeling it. And usually that's what creates the boomerang. When you're like, my clients aren't happy, I need to go back. And so that, we obviously always welcome that.
Obviously. Why wouldn't you? Come back to us.
Yeah.
I keep trying to get away and they pull me back in.
Yeah. We're seeing that all over. Another little tangent. We're seeing a lot of boomerangers come back into Orion that are not advisors that left, but employees who said, I want to be completely at home. We have a hybrid solution there now for work from the office and work from home hybrid. And so many were like, I'm gone. And a lot of them have come back. The ones that we ask.
Or the ones that you wanted to come back.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Maybe some you didn't want to come back.
No, some that we don't get to come back.
Right.
So
Well,
be careful what you wish for in that situation.
I want to congratulate you on bringing Reed Colley, landing him as your head of technology. Super deal. He had to buy his company to get him, but
yeah, it's really exciting. We are so excited about the opportunity of working with Reed, and I mean, obviously he has long-standing relationships in the industry, a huge resume of things he's developed and created on his own. I will say, I think Orion, well, this happens at pretty much all the GenStar companies, honestly, the kind of upskilling of talent across the board. And, that is outcome from all of the demand from advisors to continue to stay abreast of kind of best technology, best innovations in the industry. Like you have to continue to get new talent in your organization, a new lens to be able to take that next step forward into the chapter. So Natalie's done a fantastic job of getting a really wonderful team in place to see us through to the next chapter. So we're excited.
And that's really the key to a good leader is being able to build a good team, right? People say, well, not everyone is a Steve Jobs, right? Who has this innate vision of the future. Most leaders know how to bring the right people, get the right people on the bus, right? The good to great story, right? That's how
right.
Most great companies are built. And she seems to be really doing that.
Yeah, she's amazing. Every time I talk with her, and I'm just more and more impressed. She's done an amazing job. And I'm really excited for this year because there's a lot of, with all the new talent and the new kind of energy and momentum Orion has got a really fun year ahead of us, I think.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, there just seems to be a lot, even though you guys have tremendous market share already. I think there's still a lot of growth just in terms of the new firms coming on board, as we mentioned, the different affiliation models.
Yep.
And we had Natalie was on the podcast in 2022, talking about switching technology vendors, which she knows a lot about, having switched technology vendors herself.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably when she was still at AssetMark, though, I would think, when that was recorded. So
yeah, she was still at AssetMark then, so it was just before she went to Orion.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to wrap up. Man, we're running out of time. Final thoughts about 2025. If you want to throw any other ideas about what people should be looking at when you're talking to the GenStar board, you're like, Lori, what should we do now? What are some of the things you say? Well, 2025, guys, you got to look out.
It doesn't work like that, Greg.
No, are you sure? I imagine I'm a fly on the wall. It's like, Lori, come on, what's going on?
We have all the strategic advisors for each division. We meet as a team once a month. We talk about what we see in the industry. We're talking about people we spoke with and firms that might be looking for new capital or to go on the market. We certainly are talking about what do we see for the next year, 3 years, 5 years, and where do we want to be as a capital partner to help the fuel, more acceleration. So, they are really smart, thoughtful people. I have learned so much from my GenStar colleagues. I mean, really, it's just been a treat to learn from them. But, and they have a little bit of everything. They've got, large RIA and Cerity. They've got a large broker-dealer and Cetera, which we re-upped. We recapitalized last year. Mike Durbin is now running the show over there, doing a fantastic job. We've got Orion, of course. We've got our DocuPace, our most recent acquisition, which I had been part of DocuPace prior to their acquisition.
I was trying to find some link there, but when firms hire Lori as they're on their board, suddenly GenStar comes in, but there's no
not always. Yeah, but it is good. I mean, I'm able to give them, a very clear picture of where we think the company can go. And DocuPace is one that is just so exciting. I never would have guessed I'd say that, because DocuPace, when I first got involved, I was like, this just seems like, back office streamlining, who wants to be here? And now that all these firms are getting acquired by private equity, this is the hot dot. This is where everyone wants to put their money, because I know you just had David knock on, but that it just makes everything so much more efficient. Your margins are expanding. It just makes so much sense. So those are obviously the areas that we really want to be thoughtful about when we're placing our next bet. And, it's more than a bet, obviously. We're going deep with these companies, figuring out how can we be impactful. What other companies should we or could we be buying to put together with these firms to make it a more robust offering, maybe even be able to go into adjacent markets that haven't been explored before. So there's a lot of opportunity right now, I think, across the board, certainly for Genstar portfolios, and also for Vestwell. I'm chair of Vestwell as well, and they're doing the retirement solutions side of things, and it's been growing like crazy. That's just been a wildfire since the day Aaron Shum took over. So they, government and all of that is helping Americans save better, and they're right at the core of that. So yeah, so I'm excited for 2025. I think we've got a lot of great things going on, and I think it's, I feel like I say this a lot, but I really do believe it. I think financial services is one of the best places to build a career. I've made wonderful friends. I've learned so much. It's a great way to even feel like you're really making an impact. It's allowing, what better place to be than to be in some capacity where you're helping advisors create a pathway for their clients to live out their retirement and their goals and their dreams and have enough money to do it. I love being in this career. I love the industry.
I know, I do too. It's one of the things why we're friends, right? Because we both feel the same way, right? We have that passion, and it comes through when you're talking about it. You're not just here. Well, I'm here to make a quick buck. No, you're here because you really have passion to help advisors, to help the industry, which is probably why so many companies want you on their board. You've got that great feeling. Besides your expertise, your experience, your drive, your leadership, I think all those things come through. So thanks for being. I got to wrap up. I can go another hour with you, as you know. We do that. But, I'll have you back on. We definitely got to get you on once a year to have these talks because too many things happen.
I'd love to. I'd love to. You have always been one of my favorite consultants, a very good friend. I really appreciate all that you do for the industry too.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate it. Take care.
Hey, it's Craig again. Here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. Broker-dealer RIA offerings are a growing trend. Major broker-dealers like Cetera, Osaic, and LPL are launching or expanding their RIA platforms. This trend is driven by RIA's popularity and the need for broker-dealers to evolve. It was initially seen as a retention strategy and is now also being used for recruitment. The technology considerations, many of these firms are choosing Orion for their RIA platform, although not all, due to its reputation and integrations and scalability. There's been some debate between building proprietary tech versus outsourcing, and that debate is continuing. And Orion recently has added some very high-level talent, including former founder of Summit Wealth and Black Diamond, Reed Colley, as president of their technology division, and it positions them well for future growth. The impact on the RIA landscape. These broker-dealer offerings are creating more competition for traditional RIA aggregators such as Dynasty and Focus Financial. Lori talked about the concept of a boomerang advisor. Those are advisors who break away, but then decide they're going to go back. And they go back to a broker-dealer platform after experiencing the challenges of full independence. These platforms are blurring the lines between broker-dealers, RIAs, and other financial services models. And there's also the potential for higher valuations and more options for advisors considering transitions. And that's it. It's a wrap for this episode. You made it to the end. But before you go, please head to our website, EzraGroup.com, and scroll to the bottom of the homepage and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, and updates. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.